Well, thank you, Jay, and thanks to Jamila and all of the team that's put together this Arrest Bush. Let's have some accountability in the United States of America. Finally, all we want is accountability. It's the rule of law. Everybody's subject to it, even the president, the vice president, the attorney general. You name it, and they're accountable, and they ought to be held responsible for what they've done. And that's all we want. That's all we want. The rule of law to rule. Now, so what are we going to do? We're going to force this administration that's already saying, oh, goodness. You know, these things happen, and it's going to be too divisive, too disruptive. You know, that's what the Democratic Congress told us from 2007, 2008. Too divisive. We want to be bipartisan about this. Well, let's do a little bipartisan. Let's hold them all accountable, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, because we got a lot of complicit people in this. I mean, war crimes, invading and occupying a country that had done nothing to the United States of America. That's why I resigned in March of 2003, because that is a war crime, invading and occupying a country that has not attacked you. How about this little thing called torture? That's a war crime right there. How about kidnapping people and calling it, extraordinary rendition? Well, that's extraordinary criminal acts by members of our government, and we want their asses held accountable. Yeah, so we've got some good plans for you all to help today. Lori Arbeiter is going to be coming up in just a second with some tremendous materials that you can help us. Now, we've been out on the streets. You know, how many of you all have an Arrest Bush t-shirt? Hold your hands up. Okay, how many don't have one yet and need one? Go right over there. This military-industrial complex, this huge complex that makes money off war. Making money off war is big time in our country. And those are the pressures that he's going to start feeling when he comes into office. They're going to be the Lockheeds. They're going to be the, Blackwater. We can help you maintain security any place. Help us. I mean, we can do it for you. You don't need to worry, Mr. President. That's why we are already worried, because we're getting statements out of advisors of his administration that, the criminal acts of CIA agents, the torture, the waterboarding, that now the new Attorney General has said, yes, waterboarding is torture. The new Attorney General, Eric Holder, has said people need to be held accountable. So what we've got to do is put such pressure on the Justice Department, and Eric Holder also said, I work for the people. I don't work for the president. I work for the people to implement the rule of law. So we've got to put such pressure on the Department of Justice to get it to do what it's supposed to do, and which the Attorney General says it will do. Now, we helped really much in getting the resignation of one of the Attorney Generals we've had in the last 4 years. If it wasn't for pressure like you all have put on, Eric Gonzalez would, or what's his name? Alberto Gonzalez would still be the Attorney General. So it's what you all did. Going down to the Justice Department every Friday, putting pressure, calling the Justice, calling the White House. That's what we're going to need to be doing to make sure that we have accountability in our country. Accountability that will start with the arrest of George Bush. Thanks for being here. You all stick with it. We're going to get our country back. Thanks.
Hello. Thank you for coming. I first want to make a small announcement. You know, Obama called, or the inauguration called for Martin Luther King Day to be a day of service. So Susan, a coat pinker, is going to be standing next to the tent. If you are interested in helping Veterans for America today, she's got information about a flyer that they're handing out to let vets know the services that they can and should be receiving. So find Susan next to the tent, and she'll give you more information on that if you feel that that's something you're drawn to do today for service. So, wow, 8 years. Whew. You know, I don't know if when Obama was elected the streets of Washington erupted into dancing and cheering and singing and hugging and kissing for all night long. And it really was the same sort of feeling, I imagine, as when, Saddam's statue fell. And everyone was dancing for joy at the fall of that dictator. Not that we liked the way it happened, but the same kind of oppression was lifted, or similar sense of oppression was lifted that night when Obama was elected. So good riddance to Bush. I want to thank Muntazer al-Zaidi, the courageous journalist who threw his shoe. He risked his life to speak truth to power. And that's what we have tried to do for the last 8 years, and what we're committed to continuing to do. So I want to take a minute to thank everyone who has stood up and spoken truth to power in their way. I want to thank everyone who's vigiled, everyone who has fasted, everyone who has marched, everyone who has organized a small, large action of resistance. And I want to thank everyone who has shown us that they care enough to achieve a better country, a more humane foreign policy through their actions. But the end of the Bush regime, it's over and we can celebrate, but the systems that facilitated the harm that they've done over the last 8 years still remain. So I want to ask you to hold on to some of your shoes, because we're going to need them. The struggle is not over. We're looking at the endorsement of a horrible assault on Gaza from the U.S. government. And we need to stand up and speak out against that today. We need to continue speaking out about the occupation in Iraq and the escalation of war in Afghanistan and possibly Pakistan. We need to speak out against any threats of sanction or violence against Iran. So thank you for being here, and take it home and keep the struggle going and keep the shoes flying when you see injustice. Thank you.